right, thank you so much for staying with us. President Bola Tinubu's administration has indeed emphasized the importance of buying Nigerian-made products to boost the economy. By supporting local industries, Nigerians can contribute to the country's economic growth and stability. Economic benefits of buying made in Nigerian products include strengthening the Naira. President believes that patronizing made in Nigerian goods can help strengthen the Naira against other currencies. Job creation, increased demand for local products can lead to job creation directly and indirectly, which is the key focus of the administration's renewed hope, labor, employment and empowerment program. Economic diversification, supporting local industries can contribute to economic diversification, reducing dependence on imports and promoting economic resilience. Initiative to boost local production, agricultural production program. The administration has launched initiatives to boost agricultural production, including supplying fertilizers and making tractors and other farm equipment available. Let's join the development and management expert, Dr. Emeka Okengwu, who also joins me from our Abuja studios. Good afternoon, Dr. Okengwu. It's good to have you on the show.
It's good to be here, Tolu. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, I think we'll take it a step further. My first question to you would be, looking back to all of these facilities that we've had before now, for example, the production in Aba, we've also had the likes of some companies in Lagos here that I can remember, Bata, for example, and all of that. There were some challenges then that could help them, increase production and meet up with what was needed. What, in your view, is the possibility of the actualization of this initiative of government, considering some challenges?
Thank you very much. I mean, the challenges are obvious. They range from raw material stock to social capital or social infrastructure, which is where you have the human capital, to funding, to energy, which is very key, and to even, quality of the outputs of the products. I think you got it very right by saying that this is supposed to be the support. For me, I'll see more of a program to support local industries than to promote diversification. Because as you were, we are already as diversified as we can be. We're not a mono economy anymore. We have a lot of multiple streams, but what we need will be these support structures that I've just listed to you, both the softs and, they had infrastructure. Amidst all that, you'll be needing a lot of, quality control. And then you begin to now create this competitiveness or this quality you need to now be competitive and then start, chasing your market shares. So in one word, I think the way to go is to support these local industries, the ones that are existing, and then encourage more to come on stream.
Supporting them, can we be a bit specific now when we talk about supporting them? Electricity, yes. Infrastructure,
yes.
Meeting up with standards. How do we bridge all of these gaps? Because they need to be competitive so that the prices would be affordable for Nigeria.
Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of these companies or industries are actually generating or producing their own infrastructure. Okay, all these things you have listed, a lot of them are running on their own electricities. They're generating themselves. A lot of them have built even access roads. A lot of them have built their storages. I think what is key, first and foremost, is the raw material stock. Because elementary economics, we tell you that the first consideration for citing an industry will be, closeness and availability of raw materials. Now, this is where I think we'll have the greatest challenge in building our dependency, or what we can be able to call those products that, will be localized. All right? Let us, for instance, take one simple thing, fabrics. Okay? Hitherto, in just one state alone, about 40, 50 years ago, you had more than 11 gineries. I'm talking about Zamfara State. Adamawa had about 10 or 9 or so. Now, you had these gineries that were now supporting the production of cotton lint, okay, that will now be able to now turn it into whatever it was needed to get it to textile. Now, right now, what you don't have, you no longer have those cotton plantations to be able to now support your textile industry. But against that, the new deal is that everybody is going the way of non-woven. Okay, non-woven are raw materials gotten from petrochemicals to be able to support, for instance, the textile industry. Now, where those people who are producing might be needing help will be for government to be able to now put into place some kind of, if you may, policy that will protect, okay, foreign influx, okay, into or their products now getting uncompetitive, like you said, because of pricing. Because I'll give you a typical example. If you're doing non-woven, for instance, and you need to be importing your resins or polyamers or polyesters, okay, from a country that is also bringing in the fabrics, you know, to you, there's no way you can be competitive. So for me, raw materials is very, very critical. Okay, not discountenancing, you know, the fact that energy is also very central. Okay, not also now discountenancing the fact that security, okay, is also very central. But for me, the primary element where you have that input that takes a lot of, maybe if you may call it the wind, you know, out of the pricing, will be the cost of inputs.
Let's now look at the impact on our import bills, which of course has been on the high side. And many a times, I think with my last check, most of our imports was petroleum products before the coming of Dangote refinery and all of that. But if that is not addressed, what impact will this have on our import bills and on our currency? What impact would this policy have?
Well, I don't think you're very, maybe you need to fact check it again. I think we're importing more grains, or as much grains as we're importing petroleum products. Okay? And, you know, when you talk about grain, it's now the backbone of our food system. We're importing food additives, you know, the Maggi's and whatever it is our wives, you know, use in making their food. We're importing a lot of them, you know, the curries of the world. And we are doing this because we are not growing enough. We are not growing that volume that can be able to now, you know, cater for the cost. Because even if government is supporting you with energy, it's not going to be free. In fact, the cost of energy is getting higher by the day. So it is not only enough that you have energy, you also need to, you know, put into perspective the cost of that energy that you have. Yeah. So it is the raw materials. If we're able to build right now, there have been a lot of studies that shows that we can be able to grow the red wheat, you know, in that Sambisa belt. And Sambisa, for crying out aloud, is about 2,000 and something kilometers in length. Okay, but I think now with desertification and all these insurrections, about 500 and something, you know, kilometers are available. But even at that, it's enough for us to begin to grow grains around that area. But the impact of the Great Lakes drying up, you know, will now also now push against the water needs that you need to be able to do this growing. So if you're talking about maybe petroleum products being imported, yes, Dangote is also importing crude. I mean, from what it is here, it's just that he has this naira to crude deal that is making the price of his products a little cheaper. But I don't even think that petrol is such a king. Petrol is no longer the king in the room. It's no longer that goblin monster. Because you now have CNG and a lot of people converting their cars to CNG. If you come to Abuja now, you have more people lining up at the CNG, you know, queues and even at the petrol pumps. So to that extent, I'm just trying to say to you that what I think we should be able to focus on is those things that we are importing that we don't need to import. But if you stop importing them, do you have the capacity to be able to replace, you know, what that import budge? Because we are not doing import substitution anymore. It's important, you know, this is made clear. We are doing import dependence. There's a difference. Now, substitution means that you have the capacity to be able to, but you have a shortfall. Dependence means that you're not even able to meet, you know, your 30-day need based on your whole national production. So there is no crop, no food, nothing now. I think as a country, I can say to you very proudly or boldly, anybody for that matter, stand to be corrected, can say that we are self-sufficient and that we're importing enough or producing enough, you know, for us to now have some excess, you know, to begin to export.
Yeah, I agree with you. My point with regards to importing of petroleum products was before Dangote refinery came on stream. Before Dangote refinery came on stream, there was a lot of money being spent on importation of PMS. You would agree with me at that point. But now Dangote came in, that intervention has definitely reduced that cost. And I agree with you now that grains and all are taking charge. But we still have a bit of percentage for that. Now, my next question would be, what will be the role of the likes of the NEPC and the NIPC that have been trying to promote export of some of our products when we now consume most of it in country? What do you think they would do, or what would be their role in all of this moving forward?
They are the second level for me, really, because you just use the right word for them, promote. And for you to promote, there has to be something on the table that is to be promoted. I thought at this level now, what we should be looking at is how we are going to be building that bulk and that bulge. And there are two levels of bulk and bulge here. The first level will be the raw materials. And in most of these instances, it's just not only one product that makes up the whole raw material for you to be able to get out this product. In some cases, you might be having 3, 4, 5 different subsets coming together. So if you do not, each time, yes, the NIPC, NEPC, export, encourage exports. Yes, it's good for us to be able to encourage export and end forex. But are you able to keep to the terms of your contract? If they gave you a 2-year contract to consistently, supply something like a cassava chips, would you be able to do a 1 month or 2 months or 3 months steady supply? The answer will be a very loud no. Ditto for almost every other product, that you are promoting for exports. So I think what it is we need to do is to look at this government policy against who are the ones that we need to support at the back end, so that they can now create this foundation that makes it easy for us to start, building this aggregation we need, or building the bulk we need for us to have enough to be self-sufficient and then, probably start chasing external markets. Right now, I don't think we're self-sufficient, like I said to you, in any product that is being produced there locally in Nigeria. I stand to be corrected.
Finally, agriculture. I know we always talk about this anytime I have you, Dr. Okengwu, and you've harped on the fact that we needed to do more than what we're doing. But I think my question to you would be, let's look at the likes of the anchor borrower scheme. We know how much is still left to be gotten back by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And I don't think the present Central Bank is ready to throw money on this. You mentioned wheat. There was a time we talked about, planting more of that, investing in that, particularly the north area of our country. But we are yet to meet up with the demand of the wheat that we need. And even some will tell you they still prefer foreign wheat than locally harvested or planted wheat. How do we balance all of this moving forward?
I would want to know that person that prefers foreign wheat, because if you're talking about foreign wheat, that's where you're risking the GMOs.
Cassava bread.
We have more organic.
Don't forget cassava bread.
So you see, so I would, and yes, the cassava bread. And I can tell you, recently, even the sweet potato flour.
Yeah.
So there's so much. But to answer your question directly, you see, you don't throw away your baby that is in a dirty water. Okay? What you do is to remove your baby, throw away the water, wash your basin, and then try to put in new water. There's no doubt that the Anchor Borrowers program had some flaws. But it's also a given that there is no system that has supported, food production or food security that didn't introduce some kind of government patronage or support, either through subsidies or under recovery of cost. So it's a given. If the Anchor Borrower program had failed, there are also other, central bank financial windows that were open. The RSSF fund, the Real Sector Support Fund, I think at one time had about 300 billion. It is for us to be able to, look at the framework, look at where the flaws are. Because you must support people. Funding is very critical in supporting water, because government must need to work, with people, and the government must need to support these people with funding of some sorts. But I think the mistake we make is that we go for loans and excluding maybe grant support or that aspect that helps the person to build his feasibility at no cost. Is some window that we have not been able to introduce into our development financing and development funding. You must be able to get that patient capital that can be able to now help the guy, do proper bankable studies, proper feasibility studies, now to be able to now know where his break-even point will begin. Now, to that extent, government must come in one way or the other. Call it Anchor Borrowers Program, call it the SMIS, call it the RSSF, call it whatever. There must be support. That's one. Two, I think we also need to interrogate some of the programs, that government had, because when Mr. President came into office, remember that one of the early announcements, what he has just said, it ties in with his 8-point renewed hope agenda. If you look at it, he has not added anything different, But I think there was even an agency or a unit called the Central Projects Coordinating Unit or Central Delivery Coordinating Unit that was supposed to be, monitoring what was going on against these 8 priority areas of government. And after 2 years, we haven't seen any report. There was also the 500,000 hectares of land that was supposed to have come under clearing or under cultivation by now. These are all the things that would have been supporting, our food sufficiency in the area of agriculture. So these policies sometimes in trying to now go forward, especially in now building, the allied programs and support you need for this pronouncement, this very wonderful pronouncement by Mr. President or by the FEC now, because this is actually a FEC decision. We need to also now look at the things that was supposed to have happened in the past. Why did they happen? How did they happen? What happened to those who didn't do what they were supposed to do? And how can we be able to get it right? That's why I used, the analogy of the baby in the dirty water. It's important that in moving forward, we just don't see every program and then say, oh, let's take it on the face value. I think we should be able to look backwards, see if any similar, thing had been initiated in the past, how it ran, where it is now, and then who should be held accountable or responsible, for his failures or successes. I think that might also help.
Dr. Emeka Okengwu, Project Development and Management Expert. Thank you always for your time. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Motolu. Thanks.
That's Dr. Okengwu there live for us from our Abuja studios, making sense of the economic angle of this development by the federal government. Well, let's move forward to